Welcome to Digital Nation, your weekly digest of the best of local TV. And whether it's news to the whole town or just news down your street, we certainly bring you the local news you won't see anywhere else. This week we meet the Miracle Men of Nottingham and battle barbarians in Tyne Wear. Cambridge TV take us down the rabbit hole, and That's Oxford are taking us down the pub. To Glasgow first for a look at a little Scamp, Scotland's first electric car. The Scamp was compact and easy to park, so surely it was a huge success.
Over the years, Scotland has had a varied history of car manufacturing, with everything from family cars to sports cars and even electric cars. So here it is then, the Scamp, made in Scotland in Prestwick, one of the first electric cars. Right, we're in. Here we go. I kind of feel like a bit like Postman Pat.
Aye. It's not far off.
Alan, this feels like a replica or something. It doesn't quite feel like a real car of sorts, but it is.
This is a real car. It's one of 12 built and launched in 1967 at the Ideal Homes exhibition in London.
Doesn't seem like they were too popular.
No, it wasn't a success. At the same time as it was launched, it was tested by Myra at their test track, and within about 3 miles, it virtually fell apart. After that, the Electricity Board subjected it to a 1,000-mile test on ordinary roads, and again, it didn't do well. And to tie in with that, the chief executive retired, and he was the person who was most interested in it. So the car had failed, and the company were no longer interested in it. So there were no more built.
So there we go. We tried the electric car in the 60s. It didn't quite work out, but you could say that Scotland paved the way for the electric car as we know it now.
Now, you've all heard of Miss England, but how about Mr. England? In this next clip, we go to Liverpool to meet Chris, who, like his female counterparts, wants to change the world.
So it's been just under 2 weeks since you won Mr. England. How do you feel now?
It's overwhelming because I am just a normal lad from Liverpool. So before all this, I'd done nothing. So to do Liverpool proud and win Mr. England is unbelievable. So now I want to try and get myself out there, and if something big comes from it, hopefully it will. I want to be seen as a role model for lads who are like me, just to show that if you work hard, anything happens, anything could happen. Now that I've got the title of Mr. England, I want to try and push my charity work as much as I can, and hopefully I'll go global as well, and do things abroad which will make a big impact to kids and people who are disabled abroad.
For winning Mr. England, Chris is going to Sri Lanka for a photo shoot and a 3-week holiday. He's looking forward to being part of Mr. World in spring next year.
We've got a very important date to celebrate. 150 years of Alice in Wonderland, Lewis Carroll's 1865 book that has stood the test of time. So let's head to Cambridge. We mustn't be late.
150 years on from its first publication, we are still under the spell of Alice in Wonderland. Lewis Carroll's classic 1865 novel has been translated into at least 174 languages and has inspired numerous film and TV adaptations around the world. Homerton College in Cambridge has celebrated the anniversary with a week of academic seminars and family-friendly events.
This has been Wonderland Week. There's been the most fantastic international conference with academics from all over the world celebrating but also analysing Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland, one of the world's favourite books, which is 150 years old this year. But of course Alice is one of those books that everyone feels a part of, everyone identifies either with Alice or one or more of the extraordinary characters.
One of the most iconic characters in children's literature, Alice has invited various interpretations through the decades. The Wonderland Week conferences have explored topics ranging from psychoanalysis to Alice's impact on business and fashion.
We have neuroscience, we have brain research that enables us to understand exactly how we as readers connect with literary texts. What happens in our brain when we are reading about Alice's bizarre adventures? In order to appreciate the richness of the story as it was originally published, you need to read the original story. So if you haven't done it already, take the trouble, you will not be disappointed.
After a century and a half, Alice has survived the test of time to become part of the bedrock of English literature, popular with readers both young and old. Here in Cambridge, the events have excited new discussions around the text and sparked the imagination of a new generation of Alice fans.
We didn't start the fire, it was made in Cardiff. And it's time to learn some survival skills with outdoor whales. And you know the drill, don't try this at home.
Ian, you've got a few surprises to show me now, I gather.
Yes, I thought we'd make fire using flint and steel. So I'll show you what we're going to do, and then it's over to you to make sparks. We'll use glasses. So all we need to do is strike. And we're going to...
It's pretty brittle, isn't it?
Yes, it's very brittle, is the flint. And this came from Ogmore. We found this on the beach. So we're going to try and make a plume of sparks here that we put onto char cloth, and then we move on to making fire. So you want a nap? There we go.
Wow.
So we got some sparks.
Oh, I see why you need the glasses.
Yes, they're essential. So let's try something different. So this is a simpler way. Cotton wool, if you just want to make that into a ball.
So literally cotton wool and simple...
Vaseline.
Vaseline.
So we put a bit of Vaseline on here.
That's because of the petroleum, I imagine, is it?
Yeah, it's all very flammable stuff. It's a good mix. And this is our sparker that we're going to use. And we just strike, again, making sparks and heat. So pin the cotton wool down and spark away.
Wow.
We've made fire.
OK, Ian, so I know how to ignite a fire, but now I need wood for the fire.
Right. So we'll make a feather stick out of some dry softwood, which when we set fire to it, it'll make the fire start really easy. So we work downward, good knife, and we're going to make literally a model Christmas tree called a feather stick. So when we offer it up to the fire, it has something to take hold of.
So am I right in thinking, with the cotton wool that I ignited,
yes,
that would be enough to ignite that to actually start the fire?
This will be fine. This will really go well.
So how do we go from that to making me a nice cup of coffee?
We're going to use our Kelly kettle here. It'll boil the water and we'll all have a good cup of coffee.
Now, sometimes the stories we come across are very poignant, as this thought-provoking report from That's Lancashire shows. Here, women who have experienced loss have drawn on their experiences and set up a project, using old wedding dresses to help others come to terms with their own painful bereavements.
A wedding dress is something most women cherish for life. But generous ladies from across Lancashire are donating theirs to be remade into delicate gowns for babies.
In February of this year, we launched our Angel Wings Forever Dressed in Love course, where we ask ladies to donate their wedding dresses, and then from their wedding dresses, very talented seamstresses turn them into beautiful bespoke burial gowns and pockets of love for babies that have died far too soon. The pockets of love, they're tiny little pockets for babies, again, that are too small to be dressed.
Debbie, along with some of the volunteers, knows all too well the significance one of these gowns can have.
I had my son Niall at 26 weeks gestation. He lived for 102 days and unfortunately he grew his wings.
For some, it's the sewing that helps them to cope with their own loss.
Yes, I got my mum involved. I mean, she's 86, and bless her, she's made quite a few babies' little hats. I find it does help.
So a cuddle cot is a cooling device, and when we gift our cuddle cots, they come with a Moses basket and the machine, which then enables the baby to be kept at a certain temperature, which also then enables families to spend more time and create more memories before saying the final goodbyes.
A care home in Oxford is treating its residents to something a little different. Darts, dominoes, and a little tipple on the side, all without leaving their front door. Let's join them down at the railway.
Well, homes have got such a bad reputation, you know, and it's such a terrifying thing for residents to come into a home. And I've got such a passion for the job anyway, you know, creating things that they're used to, like pubs. We've got our own cinema room, gardening, one thing and another. And activities really is key, well, to my life and to their life, you know. But now it's part of their daily life, you know, coming here for dominoes or for one thing and another, and a quiet little tipple on the side.
It's the best one I've ever been in. You don't have to pay.
I asked the home's manager, Carol Flynn, what else the home had to offer.
I think as a home we really want it to feel as if they're able to do things that they would normally have done when they were in their own homes. The gentleman that looks after the chickens, he's been a farmer all his life, so that sort of continued that aspect of his life. You know, it's just life goes on in a different way, really.
That's it for part one. But before we go, you know what time it is. It's quiz time. Which UK city completed the world's first passenger railway line? Is it A, Liverpool, B, Glasgow, or C, London? Join us after the break for the answer. Loving local? Then let us know what you think by using the hashtag #DigitalNation. Welcome back to Digital Nation. Before the break, we asked you, which UK city completed the world's first passenger railway line? And the answer is A, Liverpool. The world's first passenger railway line was built in 1830 from Liverpool to nearby Manchester and kick-started widespread passenger railways throughout the world. Do you believe in miracles? Well, a filmmaker in Nottingham has made a new football movie that he reckons is guaranteed to turn us all into believers. Intrigued? Let's head to the City Ground to find out more.
This is beyond my imagination. I never imagined we'd end up here. I mean, it's dreamland, really, you know. I mean, Trent End, full of Forest fans, 4,000 of them. You know, you can just hear it yourself. Bringing on the great Nottingham Forest team, one of the greatest domestic football teams ever. It's fantastic.
As footballers, you know, we all had respect, enormous respect for one another as fellow professionals. And of course, our respect to the management team of Clough and Taylor was quite overwhelming. You know, we realised that we were part of something special. And when you come to Nottingham Forest, or I should talk about the past, in the 70s and the early 80s, when you were selected by Brian Clough and Peter Taylor to play for Nottingham Forest, you knew that you were coming into a winning formula. And to have actually played some 3 months after I joined the club, making my debut in a European Cup final, is what dreams are made of.
We don't often get the chance of being here together. But I look back and I see them now, we're all grey. A lot of us lost our hair, one or two of us, where's Benzie, have put on a pound or two. But that's by the by. I look upon these lads as how we were then. Long black hair, slim, muscular, if I dare say that, fit. And I look at that, but to get together now, I mean, I think this should have been done years ago.
Well, you see it all, and you see it's just a sort of an element of what it was like, the team spirit, the camaraderie, even after 30-odd years, it's still there. And that's why it was so special, and that's why they went on to achieve what they did. Just sad that my dad and Peter aren't here.
Oh, brilliant. I was there in '79, and it was very emotional.
I was in Slab Square when they all came back for the games. Oh, it was fantastic.
Absolutely touching, just the time of the moment. It's just proud to be a Forest fan. Absolutely superb.
It's pure footballing romance. It's a fantastic story.
Come on, you Reds!
Now we travel to Belfast to meet former goalkeeper Harry Gregg. whose inspirational career owes much to the grit and determination shown in his early years.
I have seen people that had more ability than I had. And I think this is very, very important even in this day and age. They didn't want it as much as I did. I so desperately wanted to be. I wanted to be a player. I wanted to be like Peter the Great. And I'll shock you, even at my age, I wanted to be Johnny Thompson. I wouldn't mind getting killed.
Johnny Thompson, who died at the feet when he was trying to save a ball.
Not because he was Celtic's goalkeeper, because he was a man that gave everything to the point where it didn't matter anymore. You have got to want it. I don't care what. I've heard all the people talk, the preachers. I've been in the position where I could judge people later in life when I was in coaching. I could see who wanted it more. You've got to want it. No matter how much or a little ability you've got, if you want it enough, you'll make it.
Time to enjoy some Brighton rock, as Sussex University remembers the award-winning actor and film director, Lord Richard, Dickie to his friends, Attenborough.
Lord Richard Attenborough left a huge mark on the world of film. His passing in 2014 resulted in tributes from all around the world. His links to Sussex have led to the university paying tribute to him in the only way they could, through film. At the university's Falmer campus, a 3D projection showcased his life in pictures in front of hundreds of watching eyes.
What we've created is a video that will be projected onto the Attenborough Centre for Creative Arts that illustrates Richard Attenborough's life and his involvement with the University of Sussex. It was very fortuitous because we were allowed access to some family photographs that were found in the archives that have never before been published.
I think this is a historic moment for the University of Sussex. They've done something quite extraordinary. I think it would be true to say that the film that Sussex University is projecting onto the side of the Attenborough Centre represents the multifaceted personality that he was. I hope these photos reveal to everyone a side of Dad which is not commonly known, which was his absolute devotion to and love of family.
The Grade 2 listed Attenborough Centre, which played host to the tribute, will open fully next year after undergoing a multi-million-pound refurbishment. A lasting local legacy for a man that's input into the world of film has entertained millions.
Creative Kingdom time now, but which city this week leads the way in innovation and ingenuity?
In 1888, John Boyd Dunlop was working as a vet in Belfast when he noticed that his 10-year-old son was getting a bit tubby. So he bought him a tricycle. Problem was, tyres back then were made out of leather or solid rubber, and the roads were made of cobbles, meaning his lad ended up with a ride headache. So after he'd finished his day job and after he'd washed his hands, he took off the trike wheels, wrapped them in thin rubber sheets, glued the sheets together, inflated them with a football pump, and voila! The first ever pneumatic tyre. A year later, John Dunlop's invention was tried out in a cycling race, and he blew the competition away, which led to Dunlop factories popping up all over the world, proving that when it comes to creativity, innovation, and pumping it up, in Belfast class.
It's a trip to Tyne and Wear next, to meet an American Roman from Germany who's preparing to battle some very British barbarians.
I found an American Roman. Hello, Philip, how are you?
I'm well today, how are you?
I'm very confused. I met lots of Italians here. That makes perfect sense to me. What's an American doing within a Roman reenactment organisation?
It's a very interesting story. Actually, I live in Germany. My wife's Italian, and one day we were walking through the woods and came to a place called Villa Rustica. I said, hey, look, there was a board and a sign that said the Romans were coming. That was 5 years ago. And at that point, I went, and the first day, the second day I went back with my wife, and then we had the Italian connection with my wife from Milan, and The rest was history. A couple of months ago, we went 17 of us, sporting 2 museums in Germany, Harten am See, and then up to Kalkriese, so we were walking 100 miles.
What do you think of this fantastic countryside?
Exactly as you said, it's fantastic. You know, you look here and you see all around, what you see, nothing but beauty.
Yeah.
You see it the way that it was.
With it being the place where the Romans were, there must be kind of a weird synergy when you're stood here thinking, this is what it was like a couple of thousand years ago.
Yes, it is. Yes, you get rained on, it's wet. Yeah, you get some bad food.
You're not selling it to me at the moment. Well, it sounds like the barbarians are in town, so you better suit up. Let's see how the battle goes.
The Scottish capital next, and in Edinburgh, there are brave hearts of a different kind. We take a trip back in time to commemorate the footballers who gave their lives for king and country.
I don't think any other club sent as many players as Hearts did to the war. Queen's Park sent quite a few, but I don't think any club sent as many as 30. Of the 30 who went, 6 were killed in action, 1 died in service, 13 were gassed or wounded, or indeed both, and only 10 come home unscathed. There was all sorts of complications with regards to their contract with Hearts. Would they serve together? Where would they be? They wanted to be as one. They decided in the finish-up that their contract was with their country, not with their club. And because of that, because of their actions, they actually sacrificed the league. You know, Celtic were Crown League champions, but my own humble opinion is that Hearts had won something far more valuable, far more precious than the league championship. By their actions, Hearts had won the respect and the admiration of the whole country.
Well, it was during the summer in 2011. I noticed it was getting quite close to the anniversary, 3 years to the anniversary of the event of all that Hearts team all signing up. So I had this idea of having a sort of typical Tommy soldier, carrying a ball, gun in one hand, ready for action, but really just wanting a game of football as well.
I think it will bring closure, or hopefully it will bring closure for the families who lost their dear ones during the war. To have an everlasting memorial here, what a fitting tribute it is to them.
And that concludes our roundup of the best of local. If you've enjoyed our digital digest, then don't forget there's more you can see on each of the local TV channels' websites. Or why not catch up on previous episodes of the show by visiting bbc.co.uk/Digital Nation. Until next week, goodbye.